Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter. I welcome you to another Degrassi poll video. This is the third week of polls. Videos based on polls I have done every Thursday. The first week was who was the second biggest villain in the Rick Murray situation, and you voted for Jay, which I was happy with because I figured Jay would be Jay. And then you put Radich second on the list, well, or third overall, which ticked me off. But the way I think of a villain and the way you probably thought of a villain are different because Alex and Spinner did harass Rick and all that, where Ratch just left Rick high and dry. So basically, yeah, villainy is in the eye of the beholder. And then I basically said, what was the best relationship for Emma to be in? And obviously, Emma and Sean got in with a strong 75%. It was no questions because it's like, well, Emma basically needed to be with Sean and all that. They were supposed to be endgame. Oh, and sorry, I said this was the third one. This is the fourth one because the third one is what stage of Emma did you like the most? And I can't remember who you put at number one, but I think it was the Emma from a while ago, like from seasons 2 to 4, before she turned into zombie Emma. But anyway, this week, the past weeks was basically which season 4 unpopular opinion about the Rick Murray situation would you believe in the most? So, as you should know, I usually do the Degrassi unpopular opinion videos on my YouTube channel. And I came up with 6 opinions from the season of Rick Murray, as I call it. They're mine and mine alone. Basically, nobody has made these statements other than myself. So I gave 6 options. Compared to the other polls, I was surprised with the lack of votes. Only 82 votes in this poll instead of like the 200s I've been facing. All that. There were some hatred of me and all that. Someone said, I feel like most of these were outright implied by the episodes, but not too subtly though. So it was actually a close race. So number 6 was with 5 votes was Emma. If she told the teacher, would have avoided Raj for good reason. Now, basically, what I did was that Emma knew about with Rick being bullied and all that, despite the fact she kind of did start the bullying in a little bit of sense with the Orange Ribbon campaign. But basically, Emma was going to tell Simpson. I wasn't sure why Emma never told a teacher about Rick's bullying after Rick was left, Emma was left high and dry, and the campaign ended. Basically, Emma was all by herself and in Rick's clutches. But people did tell me that Emma was probably going to tell Simpson everything, but basically wanted to leave it out of the way so that it didn't affect her day and she could move on and all that. And I said, well, there's a good reason because Raj had it in for Emma. I know that he said this is not one of your stupid crusades in season 4 in Mercy Street when she tries to defend why Rick should leave Degrassi. But basically, there was a background to it. And Fight for Your Right season 2, Emma basically had it out with Raj. Now, I'm saying that Emma was 125% right in the situation, which I doubt she was. She was about 80% right. But basically, Raj overreacted. And the problem is, throughout the 4 seasons he was on, there was a pattern. He would overreact to students' problems and basically just shoo them away, in a sense, saying that it's not worth it, all that. And of course, when Emma told the school about her right to protest and how it was taken away, and Raj wanted her to apologize for everything, she said, I'd rather take a suspension than say that to Raj. And basically, Raj had to deal with the fact that Emma may have outed his situations, and so he basically needed to get control back from the students. And maybe the Breakfast Club thing was kind of a way to try to teach the students that he's still in charge. I don't know. I just have a weird thing about it. Number 5 with 7 votes was the writers may have changed Emma to avoid hate. I know this was a little bit controversial, But basically, if you look at Emma in the first few seasons, she was kind of pretentious. She no, she was nosy. She butted into other people's business. She got into situations where it wasn't all about her or didn't involve her at any point. And I agree that Emma was kind of a jerk in a sense. I mean, the whole abortion thing with Spike and Snake. It's like I understand Emma. I think wanted a sibling and all that, but the fact of the matter was that she should have basically left it out. But I mean, she was triggered by Spike saying she didn't want another accident, and Emma was not too pleased. Emma was really triggered. I think she's the number one triggered person in Degrassi history, probably. So, regardless of that, yeah, and you know how Emma was pretentious, and people just maybe not have had a good feeling about Emma. Maybe they just hated Emma because she stuck her nose into things. I know she wanted to help Manny out, and as I say in my topic sentence, she wanted to help Manny out. She had the great idea, but the wrong execution, if you will. And basically, the writers may have wanted Emma to be a different character because the way Emma was presented seemed to be terrible. And I can't really prove it, but I know the early message boards probably hated Emma just as much as anybody else. So that's why Emma kind of got changed in season 5 onwards. Although I would rather have seen Emma make the change like during season 6 because season 5 she was with Peter. It was like, that wouldn't be the old Emma. Number 4 with 9 votes was the 2 deleted scenes that would have changed our thoughts about Raditch. Now, I know everyone hated on Raditch, and I spent a few Reddit videos trying to talk about why everyone's wrong about Raditch. Like, we should give him less crap than normal. I mean, yeah, he ignored Rick, but basically there was some stuff that was out of his hands. Like, he couldn't do anything about it, and I bet he wanted to do it. So the 2 deleted scenes were, well, the first one was in Mercy Street when Alex and Marco decided to go to Raj to talk to him about why he let Rick back. And then Raj says that Terry's in a private school, I can't talk about her matters. And basically, the fact of the matter is he doesn't have a criminal charge. And without a criminal charge, I have to let him back in my school. And then, Marco and Alex argued that it's just about the grade point average, which isn't true. And Radish says, until a student has a criminal charge, he or she won't study in my school. Simple as that. So, like, you could still figure that Raj may have been hiding something because when he said that, you know, he or she, a student can study at my school all they want. It's just terrible. It's just terrible with the fact that, Radish kind of hid the fact. And worst of all, and someone pointed this out a long time ago, that Raj didn't do anything to calm the students down. He didn't have an assembly. He didn't have a talk with them. He didn't give them information about why Rick was back at the school and why he had no choice. I think that would have made Raj a little bit less hated. Although Raj probably may have thought that in the back of his head that the students were going to all run to the police board and try to get Rick a criminal charge, so that they figured that that's the only way they're going to get Rick out of the school is to give him a criminal charge. But basically, it would be up to Terry's testimony and all that. The second deleted scene happened just between the time Spinner told Jimmy about what he did, the paint and feathers, and when Spinner and Jay went to the bathroom. At that time, it was weird to see that Spinner and Jimmy had a fight. They weren't sent to the principal's office for one thing, and then they were walking together with Craig. It was like, what the hell? Basically, Rick comes back with the painting and feathers. Spinner can't help but block at him. Rachuset wants Spinner to meet him at 3:30 for a talk. And then, he tells Rick, you can go home early. You have my permission. I just have to get something from my locker. Okay, but then leave. And then Simpson's like, is that your plan? Are you basically trying to get rid of him or something? And Radish says he can't do any more harm if he's not here. And Simpson basically tears Raj a new one, or attempts to tear Raj a new one, saying that, what's your plan for the next day and the next day and the next day. And Raj says, as far as I know, this is not preschool and making friends is not part of the curricular. So basically, Raj still has the feeling that Rick was angry over the fact he didn't have any friends, and that should have been a hint to Simpson that Rick went to Raj's office to talk about making friends and all that. I just wish Raj had told Simpson what Rick had said. Maybe Simpson would have thought twice. But yeah, and then we get the radish nose line from Spinner when Rick goes into the bathroom to clean himself up. And that explains a lot. Although you could take it without the deleted scene that Spinner realized that maybe he screwed up and told Jimmy everything and Jimmy would narc on him. It makes sense. Number 3 with 18 votes was the Emma Cleany phase. Stems from the Rick Murray timeline. In all honesty, I thought this would be number 2, but that's a little bit of a surprise. Although 1 and 2 would make sense. So number 3 was the Emma cleaning phase. Now I did some unpopular opinions based on the fact that Emma's character change, liking boys and being with friends and all that, trying to cling on to friends, was basically to do with the Rick Murray situation. So, from what I'm saying, that Emma basically in season 4 with the whole Rick Murray situation, at the time of Time Stand Still, she didn't have a boyfriend and she didn't really have a friends group. Manny and Liberty broke off with her after Emma was petty over Chris being with Liberty. Fair enough. I mean, Emma deserved it in a sense. And then Paige's clique decided to cut her out because of her protecting Rick, quote unquote, protecting Rick. And the simple fact is that Paige may have used her queen bee status to make people stay away from Emma, and basically, Emma would have been lonely. Emma's only people she hung out with was the Quizbowl team of Rick, Toby, and Heather Sinclair, but then replaced by Jimmy. And, Emma nearly died by Rick's gun if it wasn't for Sean. We'll talk about Sean later. But basically, Emma probably felt that she would have probably died and few people would care about her. So she basically decided that she needed a boyfriend and a friend group because in case this whole Rick Murray situation happens again, that at least she has a support group to deal with. I know Manny and Liberty eventually forgave Emma and allowed her to hang out in a sense, but Emma was still withdrawn from everything. But it would appear that with the whole situation, why she wanted to be with Peter, Damien, and Kelly, and Sean season 6, was that she was worried that, if she had a boyfriend, maybe Rick would not have had a chance to get at Emma. Maybe the boyfriend would have destroyed Rick. Now, I know Emma felt guilty about the Orange Ribbon campaign, thinking that she had a hand in it. She did, but it wasn't completely her fault. The students took the Orange Ribbon campaign incorrectly. What Emma meant by the campaign and what the students thought meant the campaign were two different things, especially with the money and the domestic violence thing. And then, Emma didn't have any friends, and she probably figured that, if she had friends to deal with, she would have been able to talk to Manny and Liberty about Rick getting on her nerves. Although Emma didn't really see how Rick was creeping out on her until the day of the quiz competition, holding the hands, whispering, "This is for you," and all that stuff, and kissing her. So yeah, Emma's clean phase came from the Rick Murray timeline. Number 2 with 20 votes. I voted for this. Well, I had to vote for one of them because I needed to see the results. But anyway, second with 20 votes was Spinner and Jay's hidden agenda in pinning Jimmy for the painted feathers. So people forget that Jimmy actually was a co-conspirator to try to destroy Rick and get him out of the school. And, Jimmy was affected by the whole Rick hurting Terry thing because in season 3, the road trip that Terry and Rick were on was with Paige and Spinner and also Jimmy with Hazel. So Jimmy basically knew about this, and they couldn't find a way to get at Rick because, Rick was pulled out of school. He wasn't expelled and all that. I thought he was, but no. So Basically, Jimmy was with Spitter and Jay and Alex to ruin Rick, one of the last few left. And yes, Jimmy was one of the people who put Rick into the dumpster, and then that's when Rick retaliated with the spray paint circling the X on the cars and all that. And Jimmy ended up being on the Quiz Bowl team because of Heather's mono. So basically, Spitter and Jay had a hidden agenda. But when Jimmy is told by Rick about the fact that, he's living through hell and all that, and also the fact that Toby's getting hurt, Rick knows that Toby's going to get the brunt of pain too. If it's not Rick, it's going to be Toby. So Jimmy switches sides and protects Rick in front of Spinner, Jay, and Alex, who are upset. And, they do the paint and feathers on Rick to get him out of the school once and for all. But that fails in a sense. But as I said, there's a hidden agenda because Spinner and Jay made sure that that Jimmy was out of the bathroom before they told Rick everything was cool and you got to do the tiebreaker and all that stuff. Because, Jimmy and Rick were in the bathroom and then Spinner and Jay came in and Jimmy went out. And that's when Spinner and Jay talked to Rick to basically talk him off the ledge. And, Rick would not have known about the paint and feathers from Spinner and Jay. And then, Spinner and Jay pinning Jimmy for the paint and feathers. Now, it wasn't originally Spinner's idea. Jay basically set Spinner up to talk about how Jimmy was the bad guy. Because it's simple. Spinner and Jay were upset that Jimmy switched sides. And they wanted Jimmy back on their side. And hopefully trying to make Rick and Jimmy have a fight. And then Jimmy comes back to their side to destroy Rick once and for all. They were upset. They were physically upset that Jimmy, who was one of the best conspirators on the squad to get rid of Rick, actually switched sides. I know Spitter had a lot of guilt and all that. But Jay had little remorse to do with the Rick Rude situation. That kind of pisses me off in a sense. That the lack of accountability by Jay. It's like, what the heck? Going on. I think Jay knew what he was doing. I think he realized that to get Jimmy back on their side, he needed to make sure Rick and Jimmy had a fight. But of course they didn't know Rick had a gun and all that. Spitter knew. Well, Spitter knew about after the offense. He's like, oh my God, he had a gun, and we pinned everything on Jimmy. Spitter basically was upset at himself. And Spitter and Jay, they just wanted Jimmy back on their side. And Jimmy admitted that he should not have ridden Rick that hard. I don't know. But anyway, number one with 23 votes, and it was a squeaker, was Emma wanted Sean before he fled to Wasaga. I think a lot of people kind of figured that. People probably said that, it was in the cards that Emma wanted to be with Sean once he fled to Wasaga. But the problem was, guys, that, people may have picked up on it, but, nobody said anything to the effect of, oh, maybe Emma wanted to be with Sean after what happened with Rick. Because all we know is that in Back in Black, the episode after Time Stands Still, that Sean's a hero and all that and is happy, and then Emma bursts into the media room crying because people were looking at her because they knew about her connection with Rick. And basically, she wasn't sure how to handle these people. And then, she clings on to Sean, accompanies him to Wasaga Beach for Sean to belittle his parents for saying all those comments about him. But, he had a reason to. They said they had a reason to send him to Toronto. And all that. Sean had anger towards his parents for sending him to Toronto. But that was for good intentions, though, because of him deafening Tyler. Emma seemed to be attaching herself to Sean and all that. And then she was kind of upset when Sean says, I'm staying in Wasaga Beach. He tells Emma that, and Emma says, I understand completely. And then she looks out the car window forlorn. And it's like, geez, what's going on? I feel that way. Emma basically was upset that Sean was staying in Wasaga. Because I think she really wanted to be with Sean. I mean, after all, Sean protected her from a gunman and all that. If it wasn't for Sean, Emma might have been dead. Although, you got to say that Toby should have been the one. I know Toby had a crush on Emma, but I wish Toby acted on that crush to Emma and basically said, Emma, I love you so much and everything else. It was just shocking. To me, it's like, Toby should have taken the reins with his affection for Emma and then basically stopping Rick high and dry because he knew that if he stopped Rick high and dry, maybe Emma will have affection for him. Didn't happen, buddy. It just didn't happen. But yeah, Emma was upset. She was pining for Sean, even after talking to Jay and all that in secret. She says, I just wish Sean was back. And Jay says, no, it's not getting all sentimental, Sean, because he ran back to Mummy. I think she really wanted Sean to be her boyfriend because, she knew that Sean would protect her from any threat and all that. And basically, she'd be normal. And then, of course, you got the cleaning phase. And then season 6, she goes back with Sean. But, of course, Peter screws everything up. But Emma did have a hand in screwing herself over with the relationship with Peter, even though that it was okay and all that. And when Sean left in season 6 to join the army, Emma felt like she was abandoned and all that. She was upset. Who can blame Emma for being upset? She thought that she was being abandoned. And that's just not good. The way I look at things with Emma is that everyone wanted Emma and Sean to be endgame, especially in season 4. And I feel that Emma's boyfriends after Sean, well, not including the second go around with them in season 6, was that Emma was desperate to be with a boy and all that. And that could have been because of Rick. Because she knew that if she had a boyfriend, she would have been protected. And then the boyfriend would have destroyed Rick. And maybe Emma would have wanted Rick dead. And then maybe Emma would have bullied Rick. Who knows? So yeah, so that's basically all I've got for this video. I hope you enjoy it. It seemed a little bit off limits, but that's just me. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching.